What's happening, ladies and gents? Forgive me if you hear a little wind in the microphone. It's a little windy out here. 'Cause I'm in the jungle, baby. So I thought I'd check in. I hesitated to do a live feed because I'm on I'm on a retreat and having a pretty profound experience that could be nullified by social media, but I promised the world of social media and listeners to my podcast that I would be documenting this experience, at least to some degree. And the experience to which I'm referring is this place here in the jungle of Costa Rica, which is called Rythmia. And I'm here for 7 days. I don't know where the mic is, where I can protect from the wind. Let me see if I can find a little cubby to hide out in here, and then I'll give you guys a tour with less talking so the wind doesn't bother anyone. Actually, also, why the hell am I wearing a shirt when it's this sunny out? So yeah, I'm at a place called Rythmia, doing plant medicine for a week, a decision that I've thought long and hard about and really contemplated, and I don't know, things just converged and I followed my intuition and my heart, and my intuition and heart, of course, were correct per usual, and I'm having an absolutely fantastic experience. Oh my God, look where I am right now. So last night I had plant medicine journey number 2. You do one every night for a few hours for 4 nights, and it's funny, I'm standing right here, and this is the bed. Check this out. This is the bed last night that I had my experience in. Right here, that was my spot. That's funny. The other night I was way over there. But this is the ceremony room, and everyone gets a bed and a blanket and a pillow, and as you can see, there's a little reflection, but I think there was 70 people in here or something. I don't know, a lot, maybe not that many. And then there's the area where the shaman and the leaders run the show from. But I just got to say, what an absolutely fantastic experience, completely mind, soul, body expanding, explosive view into, I was going to say an alternate reality, but we're actually living in the alternate reality. The reality that's experienced on ayahuasca is, to me, real reality, in a sense that you lose the body, you lose the mind. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen, but one of the net sort of takeaways is experiencing yourself as pure consciousness, which is really hard to describe. I think that's why I hesitate even documenting this experience, because so much of it is just beyond description. There's just no way to fucking contextualize it in a linear fashion, because when you're not in your mind and you're in a sense not in your body and you're just experiencing kind of your soul without that interference, it's a really difficult thing to describe. It's ineffable, and human language is so limiting in terms of what you can convey. But as a general report, I'm just extremely happy that I was guided to have this experience here in this particular place, and you'll see why. I'll do you a little tour, but I mean, there's a mud bath and a steam room and a hot and cold pool and massages and yoga and colonics and a staff that's just completely just amazing, just fantastic people here. Just the sense of love and community and alignment and all of that is just absolutely fantastic. So I'll give maybe a little brief description. The first night that I did the medicine and ceremony, which was the night, not the night I arrived, but the first night, which would have been Monday. It's kind of hard to keep track of time when you're in the jungle, especially under these circumstances. But I didn't know that it was happening that fast. I didn't really have a schedule, It was just cool, tonight, 5:30, see you in the ceremony room, we're doing this. I was like, oh shit, for someone like myself who's not so much as had a sip of beer, a sip of wine, hit up a joint or anything for almost 22 years. On February 15th, it will be exactly 22 years. The prospect of putting something in my body that was going to alter my consciousness was pretty unnerving, to say the least. And so, again, following my intuition, following prayer, interviewing all the great spiritual teachers that I have, all of the friends that I have that have had experiences with plant medicine, all of the people in addiction recovery who've not only had plant medicine experiences that have expanded their spirituality, but people that have in fact been rendered completely sober on the spot after years of alcoholism and addiction from one plant ceremony. Now, I'm already sober, so my intention is not to stop drinking or doing drugs. My intention is to expand my awareness of consciousness and reality, and to have a deeper experience of God, and also to heal anything left in my conscious, subconscious, body, soul, mind, spirit, anything in there that is unresolved, that's preventing me from living as my highest love and service in the world, which is, it was revealed to me at another, trying to get out of the wind, it was revealed to me at another profound, oh, hang on, check this dude out. This is my lizard buddy. He likes to hide in that crack when I come around with my camera. He's a big ass lizard, man. Can you see his ass in there? It's a little dark. Homeboy is, oh my god, he's so huge. Oh, I'm sorry that you can't see him. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Recent realization I had when I was at Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. I don't know if there is an out of the wind to be had here. I know how it drives me crazy when people do live feeds and all you hear is so again, I apologize if that's happening here. I'm just gonna pop a squat next to this rock here. At Tony Robbins, I looked at my sort of core motivations as a human and the things that drive me and my personality and my work and my relationships, and what those core human needs are that I've been trying to fulfill. And in so doing, it's not like some needs are wrong and some are right. They're all valid human needs, but sometimes when we provide you with a less fulfilling life, you are unsatisfied. And I've experienced some of that, such as the human need for certainty, which is kind of another way to say control, or the human need for, what's the other one? Significance, wanting to be somebody, wanting to have a name, wanting recognition, all those kind of things, which again aren't right or wrong. They're just human needs, and they're natural and pure and part of the human experience. But I discovered that some of the things that have been driving my decisions in life weren't serving me. And so I sort of realigned what my human needs are that I think would be most important. And in so doing, I realigned my values, and in realigning my values in terms of not just finding out what my values are, because I'm quite aware of what they are, but in order to live by those values, I had to prioritize them, and that was that experience. And out of that date with Destiny, I walked away with really understanding what my core mission as a human this time around here on Earth is, and that is that I'm a healer. That's what came to me. And I was like, oh God, I don't like that word. That sounds like, oh, I'm going to put hands on you, or like do massage or something, and like fix your knee. But really, I think the realization that I had after some time out of Florida and out of the Tony Robbins, like techno stadium energy, was as beautiful as it was a lot to kind of, process, was that I'm a healer of myself, and that in so doing, as I'm able to take people on that journey of healing, I also perhaps have an influence helping others to heal themselves, so it's not like I'm a healer of other people, I'm a healer of self, and that can be a modeling or an example of how someone else might be able to take the same tools, modalities, principles that I'm using and apply them to their life, and also heal to the same degree. And so, having had that experience in coming here, that was my intention, was more healing, and that's what's happened. To give a little reflection on, and I have 2 more ceremonies to go. Normally they're like 5:30 to 1:30, 5:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Tonight's, I think, is like 7:30 p.m. to 9 a.m. I don't know how many servings we take tonight, but I'm like, the 2 we've been doing is good. I'm fine. But whatever, I'm just trusting the process, and that's been a lot of what this healing and this whole experience has been about. Has been about trusting myself, my guidance to be here, my guidance to follow through and commit to this whole process, and also to trusting God and trusting the energy or intelligence behind this medicine, and to just let go and surrender. The past 22 years of my life have been about surrendering my ideas, my will, my limited ego perception, surrendering the mind, surrendering everything, piece by piece, little by little, and sort of fragmenting life's experiences into the process of letting go and surrendering. Hey, Jerry. I'm doing great, man. I'll see you today at 3:30 for our interview.
Sounds great, Luke.
Yeah, I can't wait. By the way, ladies and gents, that was Jerry, who's the founder of Rythmia, and I'll be interviewing him live here today. And so, so that process of surrender led me into this experience, and then specifically in ceremony the first night, that was really the only tension that I set, is to just keep my mind, my heart, my spirit open, and allow the intelligence and the energy of this plant, of this medicine, to actually do its work, and to get my intellect out of the way, to get my ego out of the way, and even to a degree my intention out of the way. There's 3 recommended intentions here in this process. One being that you ask the medicine, spirit, God, whatever, hey man, whatever you relate to, show me who I've become. And that's not necessarily negative or positive. I was expecting, oh God, when I take the medicine and ask that question, I'm going to get like, oh, you've become a selfish, fake, fucking asshole, or, whatever, like the negative aspects of self, which we all have, and I still have plenty of. But what was revealed to me, and it feels so weird to even say this, but I had to really dig deeper into it. And the medicine or God or whatever it was told me, a lot of people refer to like, oh, she told me this and that. I don't know. The medicine to me is not like it's not so much coming to me like an entity or a female. It's just, I don't know. It's just a thing. It's just like an aspect of God or consciousness. But it said the person you become is a hero. And I was like, what, like a hero to other people? No, it's the hero's journey. It's being dedicated to my own soul's evolution, no matter what. And that's been my thing for 22 years. I don't care how fucking much it hurts. I don't care how scary it is. I don't care what I lose, what I have to surrender, what I have to give up in order to merge with God. I'm walking straight ahead no matter what. And so that was the affirmation, is I've become that. And then the second intention is help me merge with my soul at all costs, no matter what I have to give up, which is kind of like, in part, what I got in the first intention, the answer that I got. And so in ceremony, it wasn't so much like, oh, a voice saying, Luke, you're now merged with your soul. I just let go of mind. I let go of ego, of personality, of all physical sort of perception, and just experience this pure consciousness. Meanwhile, while this, I can't, there is no way to describe what happens visually on this particular medicine. It is so far beyond description, but I could see a lot while this is going on, and it's almost like a science fiction sort of mechanical, geometric spaceship ET type visitation. It's almost like, this is going to sound weird, but you get the sense that like whoever told humans that you could mix up these plants and brew them together is the intelligence or presence that told them all over the globe how to build pyramids in different places where people didn't know each other. It's that kind of shit. It's like pyramid, ET, I don't know. I don't try to figure it out or even, like I said, explain it in too much depth, but the experience I got was like, oh shit, this is consciousness, this is soul. And so that merging happened. And then the last intention, and this is really the only place my will got involved because that's what I was directed to do under the program here. The only other intention was to heal my heart. And in that sort of mechanical visualization thing that was going on at one point, because I was praying, kind of asking for that, would you heal my heart, God or medicine, would you heal my heart? And there was this point at which I had this, it's not even visual because you're actually experiencing it, so it's not just like your eyes are playing tricks on you or something like that, because my eyes are closed. I mean, I don't, on the medicine so far in 2 ceremonies, I don't really like opening my eyes. It sort of takes me out of it. It's about, it's not about being in the world of form and being in the materialism of the body and of the building and the lights and the people and the noise and all that. It's actually, for me, about being within consciousness and actually letting go of my attachment to that perceived tether to this current reality. But what I saw was that there was this mechanical, like, and the visuals are sort of always morphing too. You just, when you think like, oh, I want to look at this thing, like, what is this? Then it's just changing like nonstop. And it's kind of the nature of this medicine. I guess in a sense, yeah, it is feminine in that way, and that it's so fluid, it's not stable like masculine energy. It's more like fire. I was staring at the fire on the medicine the first night, and I was like, oh shit, that's feminine energy. And I guess I just realized the energy of the medicine is that way because it's just so in motion. But anyway, I had this this thing where this sort of mechanical, almost robotic instrument of sorts that's made out of light came and started sort of forming in this big tube or funnel kind of above my chest, and it started like rearranging something within my heart and healing it. And I had multiple times where that experience was actually going on in my brain, and it was as if I was being scanned. And it was just going through my whole body, and then many times just focusing in my brain. And the sensation I got was that this is fixing my brain. Like, that's what kept coming. My brain is being like repaired right now. And I've treated my brain with a lot of disrespect in my life earlier on, so kind of made sense. I'm sure there's some synapses in there that could use some rewiring, and trauma, also breaks those synapses, and neurons fire in weird ways, and this is where all of our neuroses come from, or much of them. So first night had that experience, and as I watched the fire, when I did come outside for that moment, and as I watched this experience just constantly changing and changing and changing, the big takeaway that came to me was that the reality that we think we live in, and people so worried about politics and saving the planet and being so attached to this experience, is that the world that we see isn't even fucking real, and based on Einstein, Newton, everything we know about the nature of matter is that it actually is just all a bunch of spinning electrons, and it's being held together by some invisible force. It's not really invisible because the material world you see is that force in action, but the world before form, before materialism, is just a world of energy. And when you're on the medicine, you're in that world of energy, and the world of form disappears. And so what I got was that what we perceive as reality, or what I perceive as reality in a waking state, is that you can't actually grasp reality because reality is a moving target. Reality is a moving target. And I started going deeper into that realization and found that it's that the present, which is really the only reality there is, the present is a moving target. The now is not something that can be grasped and held on to because it's so fluid and it's always moving. And so reality, form, the formless, is in a constant state of flux and evolution. Evolution is happening every second, every day. And it's not something that you can grasp. And so when you think you're in reality, that reality's gone. It's a moving target. Now, what that means in life and how to integrate that and apply that is yet to be revealed. That was just the takeaway. And the other takeaway was that it feels windy out here. It feels so good, but I'm just afraid that I can't tell how this thing sounds at the other end where you guys are. Let's see if I can find a less windy spot again. I was trying to vibe the rock vibes over here. The other realization was that, having considered myself, just by all definitions, sober for all of these years, because I just don't do recreational drugs or alcohol, was actually in that moment on the first night, meditation class, I'm probably supposed to be in there. Got to do my reporting. Am I? Oh, here, let me show you guys a little bit of a view while I'm finding a non-windy spot. There's the labyrinth. That's where the magic happens. So, back to this idea of sobriety, and the realization that I had was that, in fact, when the medicine first hit me and I was having that peak experience, the realization that I had was that I've never been so sober my entire life. And that is a weird realization to have when you're essentially hallucinating your balls off. But what I think that was about was because I was not experiencing reality from the position of the intellect, from the mind, from the ego, and I had actually merged with my soul and was experiencing the world of non-form and letting my consciousness just be free. Ooh, this is not windy. Cool. Letting my consciousness be free, that it doesn't get any more sober than that, because really, when most of us think we're walking around sober, pretty dark out here. If it's not loud, it's if it's not loud, it's dark. It's funny. There we go. Look at this. Pretty gorge. Whoa, hello, camera's going crazy. Most of us are walking around thinking we're sober, right? But what we really are is I'm not going to speak for you, but I would say many people, and this has been the case for me at many times in my life, is that we're walking around completely high on thought, completely enamored with our intellect and being run by our emotions and our instincts and that survival mechanism that is God-given and beautiful, but that thing that keeps us safe and is constantly vigilant and feeling out in the world of form to make sure that our body stays alive. It's a really like a cosmic sort of joke, is that we come here as a spirit, as a soul, and we become embodied. We voluntarily enter into each carnation, into a body, into an embryo, which we choose, and we choose the circumstances geographically. We choose the family, the neighborhood, the lineage, the race, the location, the level of consciousness that we left the last life with indicates the level of consciousness that we're coming in with. And then we develop this personality and this ego, and we have these instincts to keep the physical meat suit, the vehicle that carries our soul through the world of form to have these human experiences. That ego and marries the intellect, marries the mind to set up all these mechanisms of control and protection. And that's the state that we live in, that we think is of right mind and that we think is sobriety, right? I mean, I'm not talking about like AA sobriety or like an alcoholic sobriety. I'm just talking about like, of sober thought, having our having our resources together. And so, there we go. I wish I could do this in the steam room. There's a really lovely steam room right here. Check this out. It's a quick interlude. Yes, that's where I'll be. done with this. So we're walking around thinking erroneously that we really have it together, and that we're being stabilized by that state of mind dominance, because that's how we're wired. We're wired by creation to be run by the mind and the needs of the body, because the body is necessary in order for us to have the experience that our soul is here to have. And so on the medicine, it's not like an escape where taking drugs, as someone who did a lot of recreational drugs and even a lot of psychedelic drugs back in the day, I was not seeking to go deeper into reality and to face the experience of consciousness. I was trying to become unconscious, I wanted the opposite of that. I wanted to escape, because I had the experience in life that I was my mind, that I was those thoughts, that I was ego, that I was that fear, that I was that pain, that I was that anger. And it's very uncomfortable to live in that state, so I would do cocaine or crack or meth or heroin or alcohol or pills or whatever I could get my fucking hands on, short of sniffing glue. I don't think I ever did that, but just about everything else that was available to me in order to get out of myself, And on the medicine, you're going as deep into yourself as possible. I can't imagine being any more yourself, and therefore that takeaway of, wow, I've never been so sober my entire life. Now that said, that's not somewhere where I want to live all the time, per se, because in that state, it's really hard to answer your email or form a corporation or a nonprofit or be in relation to others, when you're in that state of pure consciousness and you sort of lose the personality or personalities and the mind and the ego. That's not a state that you can function in the world in. However, having merged, which is that second intention, having merged the humanness of the ego and the personality and the intellect, having merged that with the soul, so that the soul's the one that's in charge. The intuition, the heart, the God within me is the one that is making decisions and the one that's being motivated and the one that has authority or license to direct the mind into the optimal service for myself and for others. So I need the mind and I need the ego. Like, if you don't have an ego, you wouldn't take a damn shower. You walk around smelling badly. It's like either you have to groom and you have to eat, and you want to stay relatively physically healthy and do all the practices that I do and things like that. So I'm not trying to leave the body permanently, but having the experience of like, aha, now I know what this looks like, now I know what this feels like, hey buddy, is really profound. And of course it's only been 2 days, so I'm still discovering how to integrate that. And giving this report is sort of part of that process. As I said in the beginning of this feed, I hesitated to even try to describe the ineffable. It's like, how do you describe your soul when we're all still in our mind and I'm on a device and I have to use my mind and my brain to a degree to make the right consonants and use air and pressure and different positions of my mouth to make what we call language. I mean, just that in itself takes you out of that experience to a degree. So this is an effort and an exercise in integrating that merging of my soul or my higher self into this personality that has to be somewhere in a little bit and is doing an interview today and is trying to sort of take this fragmented experience that I've been having and contextualize it in a way that might be beneficial to other people and also beneficial to myself, so that I can integrate. And when I leave here in this beautiful setting and the lovely surroundings and lovely people and the plant medicine itself, that I can go back into the world of form and back into the world of materialism. And I don't mean a negative sense of materialism, but just being in an airplane, being in a car, hugging someone, making love, eating some food, doing the things that the body does, that I can stay in closer contact with my heart and my soul and my true self, even as I'm interacting in the world. And this is something I've practiced over 22 years in meditation and living a contemplative sort of lifestyle where The meditation isn't just for that 20 minutes twice a day. The meditation is to be experienced throughout the waking state, so that when I reach those points in meditation where I lose the body, I lose the mind, and I become merged with oneness and with wholeness, that I don't get off the mat from meditating and then just go back to being mind, ego, feelings. It's like, no, how can I stay in that witness perspective? And ayahuasca is like a fucking supercharged witness perspective, because you are so easily able to discard, at least I was so far, the two that I've done, so easily able to discard the intellect and all of that and just experience beingness and oneness and merging with that universal force that we call God or creation. But it's not about escaping, it's about actually integrating that into my life, so that as I do this, I can convey that experience and who I really am beyond this face, mind, body, career, podcast, all that shit, and just let my soul shine through. And that takes me back to the healer piece that I picked up at Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny, is that I'm a healer of myself, and this is how I do it, by becoming more in touch with my heart and my soul, and opening my heart and healing my heart even further, so that I can share the most real, authentic part of myself with other incarnated souls that are also walking around sort of trapped in a physical experience and trapped in their intellect and trapped within the needs of the human body and this sort of big piece of steak that we walk around in. It's like, how can I connect with people beyond their mind, beyond their exterior, the way that their meat suit looks or their position in life, or without comparing myself to them and finding myself above them or below them, or viewing people as in a rapacious way where I just want to take and get things from people and see the world in an opportunistic mode of survival, And in order for me to break free from that bondage, I have to become in touch with the fact that I'm eternal and that I'm absolutely whole and healed and perfect on a soul level already, and it's just a matter of sort of getting the trauma and the mind, the intellect, the ego, the body, all of that caught up to where the soul wants to go. So first ceremony, you get 2 servings in the last 2 nights at least. Tonight I think there was many more, which is like kind of unnerving. But hey, I'm staying in this present moment until that present moment's gone, So first serving, just kind of took a little nap, felt relaxed, no big deal. Well, you start off with rapé, which is this tobacco that they spray up your nose, which fucking lights your brain on fire. It's pretty wild, but it really does still your mind and prepare you for the real medicine, or the secondary medicine, I should say, or the primary medicine, more aptly stated. So did the rapé, did the first dose, didn't really feel anything, but let go of expectations, surrendered, trusted, and then by the time I took the second serving, I just kind of was meditating, and then all of a sudden, reality just blew apart. And those are the realizations that I had, and for me, the method that's really worked is just allowing myself to trust myself and to trust the medicine and to trust God and just keep surrendering and not have expectations on what the experience is supposed to look like. Now, between the first night and last night, which was the second night, I haven't had a lot of sort of verbalized profound realizations. It's been more about just a feeling experience of my body just melting into this mattress and just really feeling what it's like to experience true reality without the world of form, as I said earlier. And so, I had to let go of the expectation that it was like, oh, here's how you heal this relationship, or you should call this person, or, having something traumatic or painful that happened in life come up and have an awareness of that and have it be healed. Many people report those sorts of things. Most people in the room were puking their guts out both nights, almost all night. I mean, just constant people purging and healing. And I barely got nauseous. I didn't throw up at all. And I was just like, oh, cool. I hope that's a continuing trend, because I'm not into fucking throwing up. But my experience is what it is, and other people were crying, and some were screaming, and some were crying, and they're having these things, and then my mind would go, well, maybe there's some dark experience that is in my subconscious that needs to be healed in order for me to move on, and I would just have to surrender that and just go, Luke, you're just sitting here experiencing consciousness. That's what you're supposed to have happen. So that's kind of what both nights were like. Now, last night, I would say I had even fewer sort of realizations. other than, I said, just experiencing that complete sobriety, that complete sense of being fucking present. And meanwhile, seeing this sort of alternate universe of sound and light and visions and all this kind of stuff. Visions are very similar to the first night, very like space age sci-fi, almost mechanical. It was only later in the night, which I'll explain, that the visions incorporated elements of nature, earth, plant, rock, water, no animals, but just the elements of the earth plane were incorporated into the visual experience. And I just, okay, again, surrender, let go. I guess this is what I'm supposed to see, and not try to attach meaning to it, not try to derive any encoded messages or create messages or even really ask any questions of the medicine or of God so much as just like, what do you want me to see? What do you want to do? And when I was in the middle of the second serving last night, it hit me pretty strong, but not as strong as the first night in terms of the visuals and just the sense of like losing myself. My mind was very much still there. I was kind of like, is this it? Like, what about last night? And I saw these comparisons happening, and then I surrendered those comparisons and expectations, and I just allowed the experience to happen. And then it kind of faded away rather quickly, and other people are puking, screaming, crying, and I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I got a dud in a way. I didn't allow that judgment to take root and to energize that perception of the experience. But I had a little of that, and I thought, you know what, I think it's kind of over. And so I went outside. I had a visit with the fire. I laid down, looked at the stars. Saw in the stars what I hoped was a UFO, because that would have been epic, but I think it was just a plane, and it was kind of wobbling, flying like that, and I thought, I can't really say that's a UFO. It's probably just the medicine's making this fucking thing go like fly like that. A UFO, now if it was a UFO, it'd go like, doo, 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 it'd be like doing moves that a plane can't do. So it wasn't that, but I was looking at that, going, interesting, looking at the stars, just no big deal. Felt pretty much like back in my body and back in the mind. And I went back inside and laid down. I thought, well, I'm just going to go to sleep or just hang out. And then, neutron bomb of consciousness hit me again. It's so funny how this thing comes in waves. It's really, really interesting, unlike anything I've ever experienced. Anyway, during that experience, again, second night on the medicine, second cup, and then kind of round 2 of that second cup of medicine, I had this thought, or they're not even thoughts, it's like a realization that sort of comes to you. It's like you're talking to yourself or God's talking to you, and it was like, oh, that was just an intermission. And then whenever I thought about that word, I just started cracking up and laughing my ass off. And as I said, there's people around me. People are giggling, some people are talking, saying just the weirdest shit, in their experience. But I'm just laughing my ass off every time I thought, oh, that was an intermission, because I was so surprised to have that second wave sort of hit me. And then as I was just laughing, I said, why is this intermission thing? I do ask some questions. I said, why is intermission so funny? And then the word, in that moment, the word split in half and took the T out, and it became inner mission, I-N-N-E-R, the inner mission. And then it was like, holy shit, I'm on an inner mission. And that's exactly what it was. And then, there's all sorts of plays on word that ensued after that, such as, we'll now take a brief intermission. And that's what I do all day, every day. I take inner missions where I go inside and check in with myself and reappropriate myself to whatever reality or perceived reality is presenting to me at that moment. And my life for all these years has been an intermission, or as they say in recovery, an inside job, meaning that the change comes from within. I don't need a plant or an herb or a supplement or a prayer or a guide or a guru or any of that. Those are like, no, I was going to say crutches, but that's totally the wrong word. It's those are just helpers, those are just little nudges that they just kind of, give you a little bit of momentum, a little bit of inertia, point you in the right direction. But it's really the soul's will to evolve and the soul's will to have enlightenment and emerge with God that makes it all possible. And so that's the inner mission. It's like going on a mission to Mars, or going on a military mission, going on a mission to help impoverished people, any kind of application of the word mission. It's that, but going inside. whatever that means. So that was an interesting takeaway. I mean, it's not like the most profound realization I've ever had per se, but I have a feeling like the first night's realization, which was reality is a moving target. These takeaways, and there's so few of them, and I remember everything, which is crazy because I don't typically remember a lot in a waking state, but I remember just about everything from the journeys. But those two, have a feeling, will sort of get unpacked and reveal more on a later date. So, oh shit, I just clicked the wrong button. So yeah, it's about finding the answers within, and sometimes there are modalities and practices and things like that that help one go within and find the truth, and that's been my experience so far. What happened last night after that is the ceremony ended. There's kind of a debriefing, a discussion. People share their experience. I talked about the intermission. People seem to get a kick out of that. It was fun. And then I chatted with my buddy John from Canada, older guy who's sober 26 years, so we have a lot in common in that regard. And I was just laughing my ass off. We were just having a great time connecting. And then I went back to my room, and I was still feeling the medicine really strongly. And I'm like, oh, dude, I got to go to bed. I'm sorry, medicine. This shit's got to go. So I took a cold shower, which is recommended, had a little water. You don't eat or drink for hours and hours before and after, typically. Well, not after you can drink, but they say probably don't eat. But I wasn't throwing up on either night or anything, so fuck. So I ate this little, organic chocolatey thing that I put in my room in the lunch break, and I ate that. And then interestingly enough, the first night, what I found really useful was getting on my phone and looking on Instagram and texting my friends and stuff like that, because it helped bring me back into body and mind so that I could go to sleep and stop kind of tripping. So I took a cold shower, and I got on my phone for a while. I took care of some stuff, not business, but just fucking around, just kind of zoning out, getting out of the medicine space. And I laid down to go to sleep. I'm laying there for maybe 10 minutes. I'm like, I feel pretty wired, pretty awake still. And then, boom, here she comes. Bam, it comes back. And I'm like, seriously, dog? It's 2 o'clock. I gotta go to sleep. Medicine. Whatever your name is, right now, more? Fuck. And I felt this resistance, and I'm a little bit annoyed, frankly. I'm just like, no. This is over. Remember, we're good, we're done, and we weren't done. So again, it was the process of trusting and letting go, and then I just kept telling the medicine as I lay in bed, somewhat uncomfortable, kind of fidgeting and like, oh God, I'm just all these visuals that included more of the naturescapes, as I was saying. And at one point I just surrendered and I said, listen, do whatever needs to be done. Just do your thing. I'm not going to fight. It's okay. And I just let go. And I don't know what needed to be done. There was some of that brain repair, scanning going on. Lights, drills, fucking alien brain surgery vibes happening. That's the only way I can describe it. It's ET shit. I don't know. It probably sounds crazy. It doesn't really matter. You can think I'm crazy. It's fine. The person that you see is not even the person that I am, You hear a voice, you see a face, you see flesh, but that's not who I am. So if you think that's crazy, you should see what's going on in my soul. But yeah, some ET brain repair type stuff happened, and then eventually I went to sleep, and I woke up just like, oh my God, I slept like a rock after that, and had a really difficult time kind of waking up. It was pretty hardcore. And that leads me into today. And so that's kind of my experience so far. And I was just going to do a little tour of the property. And then as I started talking about this experience, as I said, it's really kind of helping me to integrate it. Because it's not about coming and seeing colors and having fun and then going back to a humdrum life. It's about what does this actually mean, and what's the purpose of it, and what is my intention? And going back to the intention of healing my heart and merging with God and being able to bring more of who I really am into the world, and be able to really, have an acceptance of the body's needs and the instincts and the ego and the mind and all of that, which is so important to the human experience, but to be able to live in a way that is more free of that, where my soul is out front and my soul is the one that's leading me and guiding me in my endeavors, because I want a fulfilling life, and I want to use every second of this incarnation that I can to evolve. That's my fucking number one job, is to evolve and to allow creation to evolve my soul to whatever it's meant to be next, And that makes life interesting because there's always something to look forward to. It's like, what else can I discover about God, about the nature of reality, the nature of my human experience? Without that, without something to look forward to, I don't think a human can fully thrive. If it's like, oh, life is just making money, getting married, having a kid, having a nice car, having Instagram followers, I mean, that's a fucking dull life. A life worth living is a life where there's enough realization and you feel full enough within your heart and have enough love expressed within oneself that can spill out into the world, and you can make a contribution, and you have that ripple effect from your own healing, where your healing has the capacity to heal others just from your presence and from your demonstrating and being committed to your own journey. And that's what it's all about at this point, at 48 years old, on the eve of, being on a healing journey for a lot of years of self-discovery, and picking up any and every modality possible to just keep going and keep merging. And then at a certain point, there's, I imagine, probably less striving for that and more of just being within. But when I follow my heart and my intuition and I'm guided to these different experiences, I know when it's my mind or my ego wanting to do something or not do something. I'm pretty familiar with what those drives are like, and I know the difference. And for whatever reason, I'm just born as a person who just keeps exploring and keeps navigating. And sometimes I think, man, it'd be nice just to rest and stop, stop proceeding forward. But for me, when I stop, it's almost as if I'm going backwards, It's like I can't coast except downhill. So I always have to have a bit of an incline where my consciousness is being elevated little by little. And sometimes that includes more activities and something more aggressive like this. And sometimes it is just being still, but I'm still moving forward, I'm still evolving. So that's where I am here. In closing, I'd like to say I don't answer questions on Instagram DM. So if you're like, oh, tell me about this or that, I get a lot of questions. I do have a Facebook group. It's called the Life Stylist Podcast. It's a private group. If you go into Facebook and search the Life Stylist, you'll find us in there. There's about 3,000 of us. I do my best to answer questions in there, but I just can't keep up with Instagram questions. So if you DM me, you're probably just going to get an emoji that's like, hi, or something, because I just, there's just no way I would spend way too much time one-on-one. And I like to interact with people, and I like to answer questions about these things that I'm exploring and sharing with the world. But to me, it's not a very good use of anyone's time to just do one-on-one, Q&A when I could answer one question to 3,000 people in the Facebook group. So if you don't have Facebook, I'm sorry. There's plenty of other people in the world that have great answers to life's questions that you can go ask, and I'm sure they'll have adequate and fulfilling and useful answers for you. But answers from my perspective and my experience only come in the Facebook group. Or you can come to my event February 23rd in Venice, California at Rama. I'll be presenting a workshop I've created called the High Love Experience, and I'll be sharing much information like this there. I did one in New York a few months ago. I turned it into a special Christmas podcast. If you'd like to get a taste of some of the High Love Experience workshop, you can listen to the episode Christmas Day 2018. I think it's called the High Love Experience at Rama. That's the podcast episode. What else can I tell you? Oh, today, why wasn't I leaning back like this? Oh, my poor back. Today, I'll be doing an interview at 3:30 p.m. Central with Jerry Powell, who is the founder of Rythmia. Amazing guy. He's got an incredible story. So part of my experience here is, of course, to go inward and, have the experience and the benefits inherent to this experience. But I'm also a journalist of sorts, and I'm reporting on this whole experience, including doing some interviews, which will later turn into a either 2 or 3 part podcast series where I document a play-by-play. I do these short little recordings like, okay, I just did this, I just did that, I'm going to do that. And that will be interspersed with the interviews. So there'll be 4 interviews over the course of 2 or 3 episodes with intermittent field reports chronologically inserted into the episodes, kind of like an NPR narrative sort of podcast. I'm really excited about doing that. I did one last year that was similar when I had stem cell treatment in Utah. If you heard that episode, I documented, I'm recording on the plane and in my Uber and at the hotel and right before surgery and after surgery. And it was a really fun and creative process for me to produce a podcast in that way. So I'll be doing something like that, all about Rythmia, because I think it's important to share with people what these experiences are like. This place is not cheap. I forget how much it costs, but it's a few $1,000s, I think. And if someone's thinking about doing something like this, I think it's important to know where the right place to go is, or at least, what might be the right place, in that you want some place that's safe and legit and has trained professionals and is not going to have any kind of funny business going on. There's a lot of shady stuff going on in the world of plant medicine that I hear about, women going to Peru and getting abused by a fucking weird shaman. There's some crazy shit because low energy consciousness, dark entities in the form of humans find vulnerable people, and spiritual seekers are quite often very vulnerable and naive, myself included. I've been duped by some fake gurus and stuff in my time as well, so I'm trying to not show anyone else on camera here. I'll probably sign off here in a second. So, part of doing this reporting and not just having the inner experience is because I really want to be able to share what I think is a completely legitimate place and experience, and when somebody's doing something right, and I think I've found the best, or at least one of the best in the world, as part of my mission is to share that information with people. So there you go, folks. That is the report from, what is it, day 3, day 2? It's day 3. So wish me luck tonight at 7:30 p.m. Central. I will be entering into what I think is the most epic of the 4 nights of ceremony. So if you have any good intentions, send them my way. And also at 3:30 today, if you'd like to watch an interview with the founder of Rythmia, I'll be doing that Central Time. Okay? Peace out, you guys.